The HMS Courage died screaming. Captain Robert Hudson watched in frozen horror as it plucked the foremast along with 6 men from the deck like a child picking flowers. The storm raged around them, but this was no natural tempest. The waves moved wrong, heaving with unnatural purpose, as something vast and ancient rose. First Mate Grayson reached for his pistol, a laughable gesture, as the first suckered tentacle, wider than the ship's beam, slid across the quarterdeck. The wood beneath it splintered like kindling. "Abandon!" The captain's orders died as the tentacle contracted. Grayson would remember 3 things before the cold embrace of the sea took him. The smell of brine and copper as the ship's belly split open. The kraken's eye, a gold-rimmed abyss the size of a carriage wheel, locking onto his soul. The terrible, beautiful realization that it wasn't a mindless beast. There was an intelligence there. The kraken took the courage not out of malice, but because broken ships were wonderful building materials. 6 months earlier, in the crushing dark, she had been waiting. Her mate found her by bioluminescence, his massive body flushed in courtship hues, indigo spirals for longing, crimson bands for vigor, his gifts piled around her. A sperm whale carcass, still warm, a ship's anchor, its chain trailing like a wedding veil. A ship's sail, turned into a makeshift sack, its contents full of shiny objects. When she accepted his advances, the sea floor trembled. Their embrace lasted 3 days and 3 nights. Her skin gradually luminescing with thousands of fertilized eggs. As they parted, he pressed his forehead to hers, a cephalopod kiss, before vanishing into the gloom. He returned the next morning with breakfast. The canyon, their canyon, was perfect. Fossilized kraken bones formed a natural cathedral overhead as she arranged her nursery. The Courage's shattered hull became the west wall. A leviathan's ribcage braced the ceiling. Boulders, painstakingly rolled into place, would seal the entrance. Her mate worked tirelessly, bringing daily hagfish, her favorite, fresh squid, tenderized by his beak, a whalebone comb, useless but beautiful, and the sperm whale it belonged to, of course. As the barricade neared completion, she ate less. Her bioluminescence dimmed. On the 7th day, she stopped reaching through the gaps. He called to her, a subsonic thoom that made nearby fish reel in pain. She heard him. She chose not to answer. Inside the nest, her body began to consume itself as she cared for the eggs, hundreds of them, each the size of a barrel. He came at dawn. A pair of fresh-killed marlin bled between his tentacles as he hovered outside the nest. His mating colors pulsed, soft pinks and worried yellows, as he waited. Silence. For 3 months he maintained his watch. There was never a need to drive intruders away. Being an apex predator, precise, brutal strikes turned every encounter into a meal. A rogue sperm whale that strayed too close was left as an offering, along with the marlin and other bodies. They piled into a macabre shrine. A ship's bell for lullabies, coral fragments for beauty, more whales and squid, partially eaten. The day the eggs hatched, The water thrummed with new life. He rushed to the nest, his entire body flashing golden hope. Tiny krakens, no larger than eels, streamed through the cracks. They ignored him, their instinct driving them to find cover and food. They found both in the offerings he had gathered for her. As they ate, he touched them gently. The hatchlings would tolerate it for a moment before darting away. Inside the nursery, now a tomb, she was already half gone. All of the offspring would have to swim past their mother to get to the opening. They would swim through her. Her beak, which had now softened to rubber, opened and closed as her body began to shut down. Her eyes clouded like fogged glasses, and her tentacles, now frayed at the tips, dissolving into the current, tickled her hatchlings as they left the safety of the nest into the ocean's depths. The last of her strength went into fanning water across the remaining eggs, urging them on. When the final hatchling left, they shared a moment, mother and daughter. Then, the hatchling swam off through a portion of her mother's body where the bones were exposed. Alone now, the mother curled around the empty casings, her bioluminescence flickering. Indigo for memory, gold for pride, and finally, deepest black for rest. The ocean claimed her quietly. 30 years later, the HMS Superior cut through the ocean, patrolling the King's waters. Beneath it, a juvenile kraken, her hide still dappled with childhood spots, uncoiled towards the surface. She had her mother's golden eyes, her father's precise strike, and memories of the bones below. As her tentacles brushed the hull, off in the distance, unnoticed, the old mate, now gray and scarred, watched from the depths. He watched many of his offspring, ensuring their survival when and where he could. Sailors speak of monsters. This isn't true. There are only mothers and fathers, and the endless, hungry dark that loves them.